Good evening, everyone. Hopefully, you're having a wonderful day so far. I got a good one for you today. It's question period. And not yesterday's question period, it's today's question period. So, if you like this video, leave a like and subscribe. And with no further ado, let's get into it.
The honourable member from Regina Capel.
To this NDP Liberal government, it's clear the Prime Minister is not worth the cost of housing. He created housing hell by doubling rents, mortgage payments, and the needed down payment. And as housing prices skyrocket, the greedy federal government rakes in the cash. The Prime Minister now collects more in taxes on the sale of a new home than the carpenter or electrician that actually builds the house. The solution? Our common sense plan to axe the federal sales tax on new homes. On an $800,000 home, this will save a homebuyer $40,000. So why not provide some much needed relief and axe the tax off of new homes?
The Honourable Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to see the Conservatives have taken some inspiration from our plan in removing the GST to help get more homes built. But what's completely unacceptable is how they say they're going to pay for it. And this is telling about their strategy across a range of policy areas. They want to cut the programs that are going to deliver housing for low-income and middle-class families today, just like they plan to cut the programs that are going to provide dental care for families who need it, like they plan to cut the programs that will deliver birth control to Canadian women for free, like the way that they oppose programs to support seniors with pensions, students with student loans, and families with the cost of raising kids. It's time to build, not cut.
Hear, hear. The Honourable Member.
I don't know really where he came up with all that. I did hear before this question period. I don't think it was from Justin Trudeau, but it was from another Liberal that they were putting a cut to the GST on housing. So I think at least now we know whether or not we got both Conservatives or Liberals that this is gonna go through. That for housing we're gonna have no GST put on when buying a new house. So that's awesome, but I think the Conservatives are coming out a little late on this one.
From Regina Capel.
Mr. Speaker, actually, the Liberals' own housing advisor said that the Liberal plan is, quote, turning out to be nothing more than a heist of tax dollars flowing from the feds to municipalities. They fund bureaucracy and photo ops, not build new homes. It used to be in this country that it took 25 years for the average family to pay off their house. Now it takes 25 years just to save up for the down payment. Our plan on an $800,000 home will save a new home buyer $2,200 a year in mortgage payments. $800,000 used to buy you a mansion. Now you're lucky if you get 4 walls and a roof in Toronto and Vancouver. So why not adopt our plan and axe the tax off of new homes?
The Honourable Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
Mr. Speaker, when he says adopt their plan to cut the supports for cities who are going to build homes, their plans to cut the money that's actually going to be build the infrastructure to make home building possible. He talks about bureaucracy. He must not have read the line in his own plan that says that they want to hire new bureaucrats just to run a snitch line if you don't like your neighbor's housing policies. They came up with this stuff on the backside of a napkin after Googling housing for 5 minutes. When you actually talk to the people who have experience building homes, they will tell you how to get it done. We're going to follow the advice of the people who are building homes and talk to the people who have lived experience with housing needs.
The Honourable Member.
I have to give it to this Liberal member of Parliament. Man, he speaks way better than Justin Trudeau. I think if he was Prime Minister, things might be a little bit different in the polls, to be completely honest. But other than that, I mean, yeah, to be completely honest with Justin Trudeau's plan, the way they have it right now, he's pretty much just giving municipalities money and then saying, okay, so make sure you use this on housing, okay? Okay, well, bye. Just so you can go up in Parliament and say, oh, we're spending $600 million on housing, which mostly goes towards bureaucrats and admin and people, pretty much middlemen, and that's what Andrew Scheer there is talking about. And apparently they got a Liberal to actually say the same thing, so there you go.
From Regina Capel.
This from the minister who admitted at committee that his housing plan doesn't actually build homes. Their plan funds bureaucracy and photo ops. And the more the Liberals spend, the less they build and the more Canadians have to pay. Since this Prime Minister started giving hundreds of millions of dollars to city politicians, housing starts are down. They're down 10% in Ottawa, 15% in Winnipeg, and down 20% in Vancouver and Toronto. So why won't the government adopt our common sense plan to build the homes by axing the tax?
The Honourable Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
Mr. Speaker, a point of clarification. Housing starts this year are actually up year over year, but up tens of thousands over the last time the Conservatives were in office, when their current leader actually had responsibility for the agency that manages housing in this country. But Mr. Speaker, to drive home the point that is most essential here, when they came up with a new idea on housing, they said they are going to pay for it by cutting programs that build middle-class and low-income housing for families right across this country. They want to cut housing, they want to cut health care, they want to cut supports to families, and that is completely unacceptable.
Well, yeah, do you know why the building of houses have to explode year over year? Is because you're letting in more than I think it was last year 500,000 people into Canada, and those people are going to need a place to stay. On the other hand, though, I mean, we are cutting it down to like around 350,000, so yay. But I don't know if the Liberals just don't get this or what, or they get it and they just going for optics. But the problem is not enough houses are being built for the amount of people that are coming into Canada, because our population is exploding. I think they don't get that we need housing to go up at the exact same rate, and right now that is impossible. Like, we've never in our history built as many homes as we need right now per year. It's just not possible, and it's not going to happen. Let's get back into it after that rant.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. After 9 years, the Liberal bloc isn't worth the cost of housing. The Liberal bloc has doubled the cost of rent, mortgage payments, and down payments. The federal sales tax adds $50,000 to the cost of houses that cost $1 million. Common sense Conservatives will axe the federal sales tax on new homes. For an $800,000 home, that means buyers will save $40,000. That's $2,200 per year in mortgage payments. The Liberals, supported by the Bloc, will they axe the GST on housing, or will they continue to fund programs that only deliver photo ops? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, during a rare press conference, the Conservative leader gave an honest answer about his plan to make cuts. He said, we are going to cut programs, two for sure, and others that are underway. Under the Conservatives, Canadians will have fewer homes built more slowly. They'll have more costly visits to the dentist, later retirements, and families will have fewer supports. These cuts are completely unacceptable.
Okay, that is just wrong. They're harping on these cuts about what the Conservatives are going to make. They don't... I don't get why they're not... harping on the fact that, oh yeah, we made this GST announcement way before the Conservatives came out with this idea. Like, I don't even see it anywhere online. Let's get this right. I don't like the Liberals, but when you have a good idea, you make sure that explodes online, which they didn't. And now that the Conservatives came out with kind of the same idea but better, it's just exploding everywhere. It's just everywhere online, and they're harping on that GST, and nobody remembers that the Liberals mentioned something similar before. I don't understand why Christopher Freeland doesn't focus on that rather than on conservative cuts.
Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals' housing advisor said this morning that the Liberals' photo ops plan, the plan to accelerate home building, is useless and inefficient. You know, we've always assumed in Quebec that young people would be able to dream of having a home, but unfortunately, after 9 years of the Liberal bloc, the boss of Desjardins has confirmed that young people are going to have to wait 10-15 years longer than their parents before becoming homeowners. They won't be young anymore by the time they can afford a house. We need to get going. A generation is waiting. When will the Liberal bloc accept our common sense proposal to axe the GST on new homes? The Honourable Minister of Tourism and Economic Development. Once again, Mr. Speaker, the Conservative Party is giving a clear example of how for everything they want to put in place, they're going to make a cut somewhere else. So healthcare, social programs, and now today they're saying that they're going to cut the housing accelerator. Mr. Speaker, how can this member who comes from Quebec tell the government of Quebec that he wants to cut 8,000 affordable social homes in Quebec? Because that's what he's just told Quebecers today, Mr. Speaker.
They didn't say anything about cutting the housing accelerator. They said cut the GST. So, which I like, but and why is that minister standing up for it? Shouldn't the Minister for Housing and Development be explaining things about housing?
I would invite honourable members, if they wish to ask questions, to please put their name on the lists. And the Speaker will be very happy to recognize them. The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Everyone in Quebec is worried about our ability to welcome so many asylum seekers. But the number of asylum requests might go up because there are elections coming up in the United States in 8 days, and Trump has promised, as he said yesterday in New York, that as of day one, he'll launch the biggest program of deportation in the history of the country. He said he would deport up to 18 million people. Many Americans are very worried about this, but it should also worry the federal government. Does the government have a plan if migration from the United States suddenly becomes a flood? The Honourable Minister of Immigration. Yes. The Honourable Member for La Prairie. If people are afraid of being deported by Trump, they might wish to...
So if you don't know, what they're talking about, or what the Conservatives talking about, was pretty much Roxham Road border. And during the last Trump administration, there was a massive amount of people who crossed at that area, and we were having a really, really big problem. Because pretty much what people would do they'd order a taxi from New York, go to the Roxham Road border, and then the RCMP would pretty much pick them up and drive them into Quebec. There was a little bit more to it, but that was pretty much all it is. I think if you want any videos of what was happening back during those days, go to Rebel News. They were doing a lot of videos near the Roxham Road border during the Trump years, and you'll see that it was just nuts what was happening. So I'll leave it at that. Secondly, I think it's nuts how the Liberal there was just like, yep, that's all he had to say. He didn't have to say, oh yeah, we know what crossing you're talking about, and we're keeping her close to everyone. Or like, there's no assurance that anything would happen. So I think probably what's going to happen, Trump's going to get in, and we're going to see another flood going into Quebec again. So, anyways, let's continue.
To leave the United States, they could be many to consider going north instead of south. And remember, the last time that Trump promised deportations, it started off what we saw at Roxham Road, and we're still living with the consequences of that 7 years later. Governing means planning. It's not just saying yes. So without assuming what the results of the election will be, can the government please reassure us that there's a plan in case there's a massive increase in the number of asylum seekers, and not just say yes? The Honourable Minister of Immigration Citizenship. Well, once again, Mr. Speaker, yes, we have a plan. The reality is that we've always managed the border with the United States, and it'll continue to be that way after the upcoming election.
So let me translate that. No, we do not have a plan or any new plan. Our plan will be the same as was in the Trump era, so we're just going to let people through. There you go, Quebec. Get ready if you vote liberal. It's going to be more of the same.
Honourable member from Vancouver East.
Abortion care is under threat in Canada. Women don't want more liberal talking points. They want protection. Women and gender diverse people are seeing hateful anti-choice rhetoric creep into Parliament, spread by the Conservatives under their leaders' watch. That's right.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I was going to continue on watching this, but apparently it's the NDP's turn, and we're starting on abortion again, which everybody knows that the Conservatives aren't going to touch that notion because 80% of Canadians don't want any of our parties to touch abortion. So we're about to hit about the 20-minute mark. So I think I'll leave the video at that. Let me know below if you'd like me to continue on with the rest of that, and maybe I'll do a live stream or something tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be releasing a video that was sent out today on CPAC about the foreign interference. Excuse me. About the names that were released on our foreign interference. So watch for that. I was going to do that today, but it was a little bit hard to do. I needed to do a little bit more research, and after spending 2 hours on that, I couldn't get anything together. Other than that, if you liked the video, please subscribe. I'm looking for about 500. That's my goal, subscribers by the end of the month. And other than that, have a great day.